Okay, Algebra 2, today we're going to graph lines on the graphing calculator. So you'll see in your note sheet, you have a page that looks like this. And what this is it looks at the 5 buttons across the top of your graphing calculator and talks you through what each of those buttons do. So we've got the 5 main buttons, and then across the top you get each of these by hitting second and then that button. So this is a really good reference sheet to come back to as you're working through these. So we're going to go ahead and go to Graphing Lines, Notes, and we're going to graph the linear functions here and complete the given coordinates at the bottom. So you want to turn on your graphing calculator. So make sure your graphing calculator is turned on. So you want to make sure your graphing calculator is on, and we're going to type in y equals 2x plus 7. So you're going to look at those 5 buttons across the top, and you're going to go to y equals. Okay, and you may or may not have something in your y equals. I do, so I'm just going to hit clear, and that will go away. Now also what I have here are things entered in the plots across the top. So if any of your plots are highlighted, you want to go up on top of that, press enter, and then come back down to your y equals. Okay, so your plot should look like mine. Plot 1, plot 2, and plot 3 should be clear with no black box around it. So now we're going to enter in 2x plus 7. So I'm going to hit 2x. You'll see x is right next to the alpha key. It has an x, it has a t, it has other symbols on it, but that's what we use for x, plus 7. Now if we want to graph this, we want to put it on the same coordinate that we're seeing here. So we want our negative 10 to 10 x-axis and y-axis. So if you go to Window, it says, or mine says, negative 10 to 10 with a scale of 1, and that the y is going negative 10 to 10 with a scale of 1. If yours doesn't look like mine, go ahead and fill all that in, and then hit graph. Okay, and that is our graph. But now how do we transfer that to our paper? Well, we can go to the table. Table is second graph, and what this is a giant XY chart, and we can just pull off some values and go ahead and plot them. So I'm going to find 0, 7. I'm going to plot 0, 7. And I'm going to plot 1, 9. And negative 1, 5. And negative 2, 3. That should be enough points for me to draw a nice, pretty straight line. And go back to your graph, press graph again, and make sure you read everything correctly, you plotted everything correctly, and that it looks just like your picture. Now also number 1, we're supposed to complete this coordinate, negative 6 something, so x is negative 6. Well, a really easy place to go back and get that is back into your table. So second graph brings up your table, and then just scroll around until you find where x is negative 6, and you can very clearly see from your table that when x is negative 6, y is negative 5, and we're finished with the number 1. So now moving on to number 2, go back to your y equals and press clear, clear that out. Again, make sure your plots are off, and we're going to type this in as is. So we're going to type in negative 1 divided by 2x, so that's negative 1/2 x, plus 2 divided by 3. Now the calculator will follow the appropriate order of operations, so you don't need to put your fractions in parentheses, although it does not hurt you if you do it that way. So we're going to go to graph. We're going to see what this one looks like. We get a nice pretty picture there. We're going to go into our table, and we're going to see that these are mostly decimals, if not all decimals, but that's okay. So for example, 0.6 repeating. So I'm just going to go 0.7, which will be almost to 1. And I'm going to jump ahead a little bit and go to 7, negative 2.8. So I'm going to go over 7, down 2.8, down almost to 3. Okay, well my pen's not working real great over there, so I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to go to -7, 4.1. So I'm going to go -7 up just a little bit to 4.1. Connect the dots. Okay, so now we have f of 21. So again, we can just scroll through until we find where x is 21. Although this takes a lot longer to get through. And at 21, oops, I hit it too many times. We get -9.83. -9.83. I don't know why my pen won't work. -9.83 should be in that blank, and for some reason I can't write it there. So, moving on to number 3. Okay, on number 3, the difference with this is not written in y equals mx plus b, and it must be written in y equals mx plus b. So, off to the side here, we are going to move the x to the right side, so we have 3y equals -x minus 36. Divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. Y equals -1/3 x minus 12. So we're going to go ahead and enter that into our y equals. So go to y equals, clear out what's in there, press clear on what's in there, and type in -1 divided by 3x minus 12. Graph that. And you'll notice it's way down there in the corner. So there's just a zoom out feature. You can go to zoom. See, number 3 says out. Zoom out. Once you press that, it won't actually do that. It takes you back to the screen, and you press enter when you're ready to zoom out. So you'll see there that we've zoomed out. And if we go to table, which is second graph, you can start finding some values. Notice that you went all the way back to x is 21 that you were using before. And so you need to scroll back up to where you want to be. And you'll notice everything is in the 8s, 9s, 10s range, which makes it a little bit more challenging to graph. So what I would do is just count by 2s. So instead of making this go by 1s, go ahead and count by 2s. And so on your graph, just notice that this is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 in every direction. So then if we did that way, I can graph -15, -7, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 is right here. Down -7, 2, 4, 6, 7. You end up right in the middle of that box. And I'll find another point. Let's go -3, -11. So 2, 3, down 11, 2, 4, 6, oops, 6, 8, 10, 11. And draw your line. Okay, now we need to fill in the point 4.5 something. 4.5 something, well, that's not on our table. So there's actually another way we can get values instead of just scrolling through the table. So when you want to calculate something from your graph, you go to the calc button, which is above trace. So we're going to go to second calc, and I want to find a value. I need a specific value. So go to number 1 value, and see it says x equals, and I want x to equal 4.5, so x equals 4.5. I press enter, and it tells me at 4.5, y equals -13.5. So that's how you could have filled in the points on number 1 and number 2 also, instead of using the table. Okay, oh, I forgot to answer a question here on number 2. What point does this give you? That is the point 21, comma, -9.83, which if you look at your graph, you can see where that would come out way out here at the end. Okay, now we're going to find the x and y-intercepts. So we're going to graph, and we're going to find the x and y-intercepts. Now, y-intercepts are pretty quick to find. You should know the y-intercept of number 1, okay, because that's your b. But another place to find that is in the graphing calculator. So I'm going to go to y equals, clear what's in there, and type in negative 1.2 x minus 3.3. Graph. Now you'll notice your calculator is still zoomed in from before. So what I'm going to do is go to zoom standard. That number 6, zoom standard, puts it back into that negative 10 by 10 on the x and y axis. So zoom standard is where you want to go, zoom 6, and then you'll see your graph. So we go back into table and pull some points off there. Let's see, we've got negative 3.3. So negative 3, and then up a little bit. And I'm going to pick something over on the positive side. How about 3, negative 6.9. Which is almost 7. Okay, so now to find our y-intercept, I'm going to do that first because it's the easiest. I'm going to plug in 0 for x, or I'm just going to get the b. So this is going to be the point 0, negative 3.3, which you can see, even though my line's a little bit off, I'm about right there. Another thing you can do is use the value button to plug in 0 for x. Okay, so I'm going to go to second calc. I'm going to go to value and type in 0 for x. And there you'll see you get y is negative 3.3. Okay, so quickly I want you to do numbers 2 and 3 and find the y-intercept. And then the x-intercept we will save for class tomorrow. So go ahead and pause now and graph 2 and 3, find the y-intercepts, and I'll put the answers up in just a minute. Okay, so here are your graphs to number 2 and number 3, as well as the y-intercepts. Notice on number 2 you can write that as a decimal or a fraction, depending whether you got it out of your equation or if you pulled it out of the calculator. Tomorrow we will work at finding x-intercepts because they're a little bit more challenging. So, I will see you tomorrow. Good luck!